To everybody's surprise, the new Call of Duty is Vanguard World War II. No leaks. It's crazy. Man, have Call of Duty and Warzone been getting roasted lately, including quite a bit by myself. And while a lot of that is pretty damn funny, I also get a lot of questions about, am I going to be quitting the game? Am I going to be leaving it? A lot of even Call of Duty partners, the biggest names in the game, have quit. Now, I'm not actually a COD partner. Still, would love a creator code, by the way, Call of Duty. But still wanted to answer this question for myself and give some context in a video outside of just my normal streams and everything that I do, because I've talked about a lot of this before. The jokes, the memes, these are coming from people who hate the game and don't even play it, but it's also coming from a lot of people who have just moved on from the game, who have quit. They're finally done with it. They're finally over it. And even people that are still regularly playing with it and have to experience a lot of this still. When there's this lack of communication, people don't even know where things are at. People are getting lost. I keep calling these things out, mentioning it, roasting it as well, of course, for things like hackers, just because it's not really addressed. And then when it is, I don't know who or where to even figure that out. You just see a Twitter post of, we banned this many accounts, and there's no ever follow-up. There's no mention of any anti-cheat. Even if the systems that they have in place, I don't know who they're explaining it to or what's been explained, or even if it has been. And I'm a dude who's deep into the community. I play this game every day. I got over 1,000 hours in it. Like, I don't know. But that's even the case for things that are in the game, like FMJ. So many people come and tell me, why don't you use FMJ? Because it increases your damage. If you look at the stats, the bar goes up. High Alert now says that it counters Dead Silence Stone. How come you don't use it? Why don't you know about that? Well, I do, but they didn't communicate that. Actually, if you look specifically on their Twitter, it's not anywhere else. It doesn't actually work. You got to go to their Twitter. These are just a couple of a laundry list of examples. But even this low-hanging fruit, the memes, the jokes, a lot of what's being said is holding up because it's true. Even if it's not everybody, there's a lot of people that are feeling these ways or can even understand it, even if they haven't experienced themselves, because they've seen it from other people, their friends, or seen it in videos. They've seen this stuff happening. Looking at this as a player who has been playing Call of Duty games for years, I am actually shocked that this game in particular has had a longer life cycle than normal, right? A typical Call of Duty game comes out, good for a couple months, kind of start playing some other games. At least that's how it usually is for me. It's been a while since I've been diehard Call of Duty all the way until the release of the next game. Especially for me, over these last few years, multiplayer games are great for, you know, a couple months, 100 hours to maybe 300 hours for like a best case scenario for me. I've experienced what I've came for. I've hit all the kill streaks on all the different maps, played the modes. This, by the way, is also what I'm pretty much expecting and anticipating for the new Battlefield that's coming out. Not to say that this is bad as well. I have a great experience typically with these multiplayer games. I've just put thousands and thousands of hours into these in the past, and the respawn type games just aren't quite as interesting to me anymore. That's one of the reasons that I love Battle Royale so much. Warzone is what I really love. Even Blackout, I loved that too. This game, in my opinion, still has the best in terms of gameplay, when, of course, you can experience it. A lot of people have been going back to Apex Legends. Understandably, it is a fantastic game. I played the crap out of it. I got to Apex Predator. The skill gap on it is insane. It even has a ranked mode. And it was a game that I had always wanted. After playing PUBG for so long, falling in love with Battle Royales, I really wanted to have a champion-based game because I always wanted to get into a game like Overwatch. I tried. It didn't really work for the content. I love class-based games, though, like World of Warcraft. And so to have that mixed into another game that I love, it was perfect. Playing a role, having abilities, it's one of my favorites, and it still is. I still do streams on it, still do videos on it, and I still love watching tons of clips on it. I never have stopped. But there was also a lot of problems. I've discussed a lot of them over the years, including just the third party and the way that the game actually plays out. They did some fantastic stuff, the ability to get respawns. But that's also where Warzone came along, and it just wasn't even something I really expected, but it fit perfectly. What was so nice about Apex, though, was that EA was completely committed to that game, and they still are. When Warzone came out, it took a risk and completely focused on this Battle Royale. They had a specific team that was dedicated to it. There was updates coming for it. Tons of content, especially at the beginning. You could argue that they kind of trickled it out to us, which was the case, but they were ready and had a lot to do. Battlefield also came out with a Battle Royale, if you remember, but that really didn't take the game and that genre of Battle Royales to a completely different level. It was good. I loved the destructible environment. I had a lot of fun on that mode, and I have a lot of videos on it as well. And there were still a lot of problems that were plaguing that game that they never really addressed, or it took them too long to even do that. They weren't completely focused on it to the extent that a game like Warzone was. It wasn't supported the same way. And Ubisoft did come out with one, and I was asking for so long, I was like, is Ubisoft ever going to make a Battle Royale? Way later, I felt like years later, they finally came out with Hyperscape. I don't know if it was too late to the party, if it was too much and too crazy, too vertical, but it didn't stick, and I think it was after about 3 seasons they just stopped developing for it. But why talk about all of these other games. It's because there's a lack of competition for specifically what Warzone is capturing and what they're doing in terms of their gameplay. That's what I'm missing right now. I feel like they have massive potential for things that they can do, including the custom games, including the limited time modes that they can implement, having a ranked game, just talking about the specific gameplay mechanics that they could implement, what they could do. And I mean, a new map probably finally coming with World War II Vanguard, but there's nothing really great to transition to for me, specifically as like what my main game is that I play. I still like to play other games. I still do videos on other games, and I still stream other games regularly. That's just how I always have been across all the games. When I was hardcore into RuneScape, when I was hardcore into World of Warcraft, whatever it's been, even before I was creating content, I always had like a main type of game that I would get into and play, and there were some other ones that I'd play around that. I'd try some other things, rent some games, whatever the case was. But to me, this is still one of the best battle royales that is just out right now. And I would love it if there was something closer or more competitive to what it was. And I mean, there's a lot of things that other games could even do to become more like this game, but I don't even think that's necessarily the path that they need to take. Like Apex Legends could decrease their time to kill greatly, add some type of gulag system, make it so you could bring your teammate back without the beacons, but just that's not their game. That's not the design. That's not what it's for, and I don't think they should make those changes. But nothing else fits into this category of what Warzone does really well for me right now. The pacing, the satisfaction of the snipes. Is the game still good? We've been playing it for over a year now. I initially thought when the game was going to come out, it was going to be ruined by having these custom loadouts. You're taking out the entire luck aspect, all the RNG that is the classic battle royale thing. Every game, you're probably going to have a different gun because you just might not get all the attachments that you want for your shotgun, or you might not get what you want for your sniper. In this case, you just get everything right away when you get your loadout, and then you go get another loadout to customize it even further for what you wanted to do. It turned out that this became one of my absolute favorite things in the game. And even today, it is still an aspect of the game that I really enjoy. You could try different loadouts. You had more of like an RPG aspect where you could level up the guns, get different attachments for them, implement those into your game through playing more, made it so you actually had some more stuff to grind out and do, although some of the grinds were pretty damn terrible in this, especially unlocking a lot of the weapons. Specifically, having to grind so much in a different mode like Plunder, where you can't really level them up quite as easily by just playing Warzone, playing the main Battle Royale experience. Even today, I still love the ability to customize everything, although it does get a bit boring if it's going to be the same guns that you get every single time. That being said, that's why they do all these balance shifts, all these updates to the game, which at some points have gone a little bit long, but it's nice to have it refreshed so you do get to use different guns and experience some of the different ones. For me, it always goes back to the sniper, and the fact that I can get that every game and that it's actually satisfying hitting those snipes, it's a good, consistent experience, and I keep on having stuff to work on and improve on, and I keep getting better. I feel like they can keep this going, too, by adding new guns to the game. They have just begun to finally even take a look at the perks in the game to change the way the game is played. I feel like this should have been done with the last implementation of Cold War, even just changing the way Ghost works to how it works in Cold War, where if you sit still for too long, the Ghost perk fades. Obviously, they've added a lot of new guns, even some weird-ass guns like the nail gun. Them going back to World War II can unlock a whole lot of new guns as well. That's also going to have a different style. I don't know how they balance that into the game. I don't know if they run out of guns that they can start adding to the game after this. But I think it's still good. I think it's still interesting to have these ones to use. And even the list that they already have is so massive, especially compared to a game like Apex. There's a lot of variation. And right now, it's at a state where they seem to be really focused on those new Cold War weapons that they've added to the game. Modern Warfare ones seem like they've just been washed up. But these are just part of the balance things that I think they need to address, because it seems like they want these Cold War weapons to be good so that the bundles are a little bit more enticing as you see them up in the shops. It also could be said that, well, they just want to have the new guns be a little bit more effective, which I like that aspect too, especially when they introduce new guns. Like, I like them to actually be good, because when you unlock something that's really bad, it sucks. And of course, the gameplay overall, like I said, this is such a unique experience compared to the other battle royales that are out there. Even, I would argue, the Rebirth Island has such an insane pace. I finally went and started playing that. I feel like I've been missing out. It's like a completely different game playing that thing. And I see why so many people are so in love with just that specific map and that mode, especially if you do like the multiplayer aspect of it more. You can get a respawn even easier in that game with Resurgence just getting brought back for free by your team. The underlying thing that's ruining all the gameplay, though, of course, is the hackers, the cheaters, which are so prevalent in this game. A big part of that, of course, is that this is such a big game. There is a massive market for these cheaters. And it's a free-to-play game, so there's no penalty to even getting your account banned. You just create a new one. It's a multi-million dollar market. So many people are just out there buying all these, whatever, all the hacks for these things that they keep on iterating. They've got a massive team that's working just to create all this stuff as well. And there's this balance that's just completely out of whack. I've seen hackers in Battlefield. I've seen hackers in Apex. But the scale of this is just insane in how many games you run into it on. So all the underlying things that they still need to improve and work on in the game are still there. There's still a lot that needs to be done and can be done in this game. It doesn't need to all be done right away, but it's all overshadowed by the hacker problem in the game. It was a build-up to this point as well. When this game first came out, they kind of trickled it out, right? It only came out as trios, then quads, then duos, and they finally added solos after a long time. They added other modes like the sniper shotgun mode, which never came back. Of course, they added rebirth, buybacks modes, and a whole bunch of stuff over all this time. Then they, of course, added an entirely new game into Warzone. Warzone eventually spun off as its own separate game outside of Modern Warfare. But as an outsider looking in at all of this that's going on, I don't really know anything of the inside team, but it seems like Warzone is like working with an arm tied behind their back here. It's taken them so long to even be more independent and just to develop their game. But since they're still part of Call of Duty, they're still on this yearly Call of Duty cycle that's going on. They've got to implement off of that yearly cycle, expect the new guns that's going to be coming, the new bundles that are going to be in the new game that they got to integrate into the previous game, get the level system, cross progression going. So many little things for the continuity across like this bigger picture of everything that's going on. I got to imagine that this is slowing them down creatively. Apex, for example, was a standalone game right from the start. It's still in that Titanfall universe, but they can still take the reins and do what they want as this game continues to develop. Versus Call of Duty, which is split across multiple different teams that are developing new Call of Duties each year, and the separate team for Warzone, there's got to be so many moving pieces going on that while they did have this nice initial rollout, even going into that Halloween event, which recently I was posting about and saw like this is like the pinnacle of the game. Even the night map felt like such a nice, refreshing way to play the game because we actually got some like that. That was a nice feeling on the game. They never brought the night map back. I have no idea if any of this is the case, but this is what like goes on in my head when I don't see this stuff happening and all of these jokes and all of this stuff surfacing to the top, right? Imagine if Call of Duty really was a standalone game. I feel like that would probably really help them creatively as they're going through everything. But then again, they wouldn't have the Call of Duty name. They wouldn't have the player base that they even have. That's a big part of what allows us to fill up these 150 player lobbies, even across so many different modes. This was a major problem in PUBG, for example, especially because they split it up by first person, third person, and split it up by individual maps. There was a long learning process for that game. But they do a lot right. That is a lot of fun. No other game is fulfilling it for me right now. Even look at the time to kill. I see a lot of people complain about that. They want it to be longer. But if you go long, like even Apex Legends, we have a comparison there. It becomes massive third parties and it's an entirely different game because the fights go on longer. And because those fights go on longer, people are resetting. Here comes the other team knowing exactly where you're at as those fights go on. I wouldn't mind if it was a higher time to kill. Bump the health by another 50. Make it so your base health was 150 and so your armor is 150. Total 300. Maybe that's too much. I'd be more than happy to try it, and I feel like the devs could explore some of these things. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be something they do. Death comms are also, like, that's just content in and of itself. The fact more games don't have that is just, like, you got to take that one from them. And just the fact that this is, like, a military war-type game, obviously, it doesn't have some of the aspects that something like your Battlefield could have. And I still think there's a lot of potential for it to be even more raw, more destruction. The destructible environment aspect will be so sick. And we had that to a degree with Battlefield, but again, that one thing isn't going to make up for everything else. But where I see this going is that there was hype for this game. When there was this tease of the new map coming, the map's going to get nuked, there was unbelievably massive hype. I had my biggest stream ever, 64K concurrents over on Facebook. I couldn't even believe it, but it wasn't a new map. That hype is now gone. I do not know if Call of Duty can recapture everything that they want to with Vanguard coming out. People might be over it now, and especially with Halo, Battlefield, and other games that people are looking forward to around the corner. I'm not sure how it's going to be. I think there's still going to be a massive amount of people that are playing Warzone. There's going to be a massive amount of people that get the new Call of Duty Vanguard and play the multiplayer. They're not even going to play Warzone. They just like that game. But you had a really, really magical moment with Warzone that I think could have kept skyrocketing, that I'm not so sure is going to continue on. I'm personally going to continue to play it. when Battlefield is out, when Halo is out. I'm going to play those two. We're going to experience them. My guess is I'm going to be much deeper into Battlefield than I am Halo. I haven't got the chance to play Halo yet, but I've seen gameplay. Looks solid. Not so sure it's going to hook me back into it. I'm much more interested in the Battlefield aspect, and I'll have more videos coming specifically talking about that. And if you want to see any of my current videos talking about it, go check them out. There has been a lot of gameplay leaked from Battlefield that I've been watching lately, and it looks pretty interesting. And it looks right in line with everything I've talked about before in terms of how I'll probably be handling the game. The thing we don't know about it is Hazard Zone, which could hook me in, but I have no idea what it is even going to be. My plan is to continue to play Warzone, especially if they do a new map and do some crazy stuff that they have so much potential for. I think a lot of people will come back. I'm going to keep playing it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe to catch all my latest content. I put a lot of thought and work into these videos, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more, hear more from myself, stop by my streams over on Facebook every single weekday. That's it for this one. This is StoneMass64. Over and out.